Welcome to Board Ghost, a story broadcast with games as the engine.
If living is a highway, then heaven is a bus stop. Been waiting for a minute there, but has it been forever? 'Cause dying don't agree with me.
We believe you're out there, hungry for stories for shared experience. We can't see you, can't hear you, yet we will play for you. This night's offering is a continuation of The Fool's Journey. We are telling tales using The Fool's Journey as published by Glittercats Fine Amusements and designed by Cheyenne Wall-Grimes. To learn how we generate stories playing The Fool's Journey, go check out our The Fool's Journey Rules Primer. We are doing a little bit of a hack and a framing on it. We are playing the Norns, the Graces, the Fates, the Three Ladies, Maiden Mother Crone, the Triple Goddesses, etc., who are telling these lives out. And so we've tweaked the game a little bit to fit the format of the show. So we're going to get right into it. We are the three, sometimes called women, sometimes goddesses, sometimes one who is three, sometimes three who are one. Those who have loved us call us the Graces, those who fear us the Furies. They have called us the Parcae, the Matronae, the Norns, the Moirai, the Fates.
The first of us, the youngest and oldest, is Clotho. I am the spinner who creates the thread from the raw stuff of material.
The second of us, the eternal and ever-changing, is Lachesis, the Allater, who measures the thread and tests its strength.
The last of us all, the oldest and the youngest, is Atropos, the unturnable, who cuts the thread and marks the end.
Sisters, we have come to the table to tell a life. Let us begin.
Sisters, we begin as all lives begin, a fool at the start and a death at the end.
Sisters, we will take measure of this life and test its integrity.
The Wheel of Fortune is our first card.
And then the star, which I will put before the Wheel of Fortune, closer to the Fool.
Judgment, which I shall put between the Fool and the Star.
We have the Magician, which I'll place closer to Death.
We have the Lovers, who I will put between the Magician and Death.
The Hermit, who shall come between the Wheel of Fortune and the Magician.
And finally, Justice. Justice shall come before death. And 4 paths now that may be taken.
The Sun, the Hanged Man, the Chariot, and the Hierophant.
Sisters, we can stir the pool before the child emerges. And so I will have Judgment switch with the Hierophant,
which reveals the tower. Sisters, we can adjust the slope of the path before the child steps. I choose to remove the star, and in its place, the sun, which opens strength.
Sisters, we can darken the sky before the child opens their eyes. I choose to swap the Hierophant and the Lovers.
I can see how this life is beginning to situate itself. And I believe the beginning will need more strength. And so the sun I shall target.
I don't see any problem with strength.
Clotho, I just don't trust you. I don't know what you're going to be doing with the sun. All life needs it.
It is true that the light of the sun is required by all life, but for our fool, strength will be needed.
I shall trust you at your word. Let's see how this falls.
I win. And so I will switch.
I think that justice may already be determined for this fool. I would change what is placed.
Yeah, Lachesis, you know what? I think that's interesting either way. Go ahead.
I think we all need justice before death, or at least the fools do. And this one most of all.
I will stick to my reserves on this. I will not allow you to push me, sister.
And I shall give you at least one more shove.
I determine that the fate is sealed for this fool.
The hanged man.
The hanged man will be its justice.
I think this child should be born strong.
I agree. Strength at the beginning of life makes sense, especially for this fool. They'll need it.
I think that no mortal should have any tools but what they gain on the path.
A traditionalist, I see.
That is my whim today, sister.
All right, well, sister, you know how I feel about that.
We will put our powers where our mouths are, sister. I still push against you. I resist. And I can affect the fool. Let us start this tale with mortal love.
Oh, so you're just
Well, you're
burning
just taking the fool out of the game.
it. Burning it. All right. I will seek to affect the hermit. The hermit, I think, is coming too late in life.
Sure, let the hermit move where it will.
I think the child
Atropos,
deserves to only be alone at the end.
this hermit will be needed much earlier in life.
All right, let's see.
Okay, let us.
The swaying and inconsistency of the wheel troubles me. I would put something much stronger in its place. I would look to affect the wheel, sisters, in this lover's life.
Yeah, you know what, sis? If we're going to mess with this life as much as we are, mess with it. Go
I
ahead.
agree.
All right, you know what? I don't think this person should die.
Yeah, I do. I think they should die.
I must agree that death is important for this lover.
Yeah.
I push against this, sisters.
I don't know why I care so much about the end of its life.
I really didn't want this person to die.
I'll stick to my station, sisters, and tell the center, the meat of this thread.
And I will keep with my station as well until the beginning.
All right, I guess I'm the end this time around.
Our tale begins with a lover. This tale begins with a giant who was born with two heads, and those heads fell in love with each other.
There was love because there was no one else to spend their time with. The brothers, born as one, conjoined in life, abandoned in the caves to die by their family, was found by a man who made his life in tricks and trickery. As his brightly colored wagons traipsed the mountain paths, it drew out the giant. And when this hermit's eyes fell upon it, all it saw was gold. And so the show began. People came far and wide to see the man with two heads. And as the giant grew into its full size, it also grew into its full strength. It could lift an entire carriage above its head. And these feats again drew coin. But perhaps the greatest honor was done when the ageless emperor called the caravan to his door. And there the hermit performed his last exhibit. Each creature was trotted out in front of the Eternal Emperor and elicited not a stirring, and each in turn was put to the sword. Until the last, the greatest, the giant, stepped forward and lifted the throne upon which the emperor sat, and in doing so, unseated the emperor from their core of power. And this giant fled with stones raining around it as this tower, full of skeletons and death, rained upon all who still remained within. Now alone in the world, but touched with some great power, the giant was found by one who sought power, who sought to harness him like the hermit had harnessed the strength and physical uniqueness of the giant. Descending from a coiled rope from the sky came the magician. From a plane the giant could not perceive. And he unfolded himself in front of the giant and made an offer. The giant accepted this offer, was folded into a pocket in the magician, who then folded himself and spun up the coil of rope, which spun in the air until it opened in the magician's world. And the magician presented the giant, folded, unfolded, to the Hierophant, the god king of this new world. And the Hierophant saw in this creature glory and his own doom.
The Hierophant saw, in fact, that this creature, though it appeared to be, at least at base, a man, changed, perhaps horribly, perhaps wondrously, but nonetheless still a man. But unlike a man, this creature was, well, blessed or condemned to never know the embrace of death. Seeing that, but knowing that none else could see it yet, the Hierophant knew what he had to do. For if the people of this new pocket world knew that they could have a leader they could look up to forever, being the sheep that they ultimately were, they would immediately unseat the Hierophant and elect to have this new leader. And so before that could happen, the Hierophant tricked this creature into going into the dungeons, and there subdued it, as subduing it was the best you could ever do, and then tied it to a cross of stone, and hung it upside down for all of time. The end.
Nice.
But the lovers shall never be parted.
No, they're together forever, in the dark, upside down.
This life is spun, measured, and cut. Another life sits before us. I, the first of us, youngest and oldest, is Clotho, the spinner, who creates the thread from raw stuffs.
The second of us, the eternal and ever-changing, is Lachesis, the allotter, who measures the thread and tests its strength.
And I, the last of us all, the oldest and the youngest, is Atropos, the unturnable, who cuts the thread and marks the end.
Sisters, we have come to the table to tell a life.
Sisters, we begin as all lives begin, a fool at the start and a death at the end.
Sisters, we will take measure of this life and test its integrity. Let us begin.
Between the fool and death now only sits justice.
And now, suddenly, comes the hanged man, following justice.
The wheel of fortune will be closer to our fool's beginning.
The magician will come between the fool's hanged man and the fool's death.
The chariot shall come right after the fool's beginning.
And the Hierophant will sit between the chariot and the wheel of fortune.
And before justice, after fate, we will have the lovers. And in our pool of possible chance, the hermit, the tower, judgment, and the star. Sisters, we can stir the pool before the child emerges. I choose to remove the Hierophant and replace it with judgment.
Sisters, we can adjust the slope of the path before the child steps. I choose to replace the lovers with the star.
My sisters, we can darken the sky before the child opens their eyes. I shall choose to replace the hanged man with the devil.
Now we sit with the world and the emperor in our pool. We have choices to make. I see naught but darkness in this fool's life. I would not let chance rob them of this darkness. I would affect the wheel.
Keep that wheel in there. Keep that chance.
I revolt against that.
Very well. Let it be said there will be no chance for this child to have an enjoyable life.
I will replace the wheel with the tower.
I see this child's life starting hellishly. I'm going to move the devil before the fool.
It seems that this child's life will be bleak. I have no qualms about starting it off that way.
Perhaps the devil should be elsewhere in its life. We are not telling the devil's story today. This is the fool's tale.
Fine, let's see what you got.
Oh, devil, where will you go? Very soon.
Whereas I can see this child's life beginning to spread out before us. The thread seems very shadowy and very negative. And so I believe justice must reign after death.
Perhaps justice should remain where it is.
No, I'm with Atropos on this one.
The cruelty of this child's life has even touched my stone-cold heart. I wish something good for it, or well, at least warranted for it.
Perhaps justice in its life will be good for it.
This child will find no justice in life.
Not in the life you would have for it.
I am more concerned with the child's ending than its middle.
When will we end this, sister, this endless tug of war?
Let us find out now. Justice after death.
Do we want such power in the hands of this one? I would affect the magician.
No one man should have all that power.
The magician is an agent of change, an agent of wonder. They could be weal or woe for our fool.
Then I would not have chance brought into it.
There isn't much we've left up to chance in this poor child's life. A magical mentor.
Then all the more reason to remove it.
I still think the magician has a role to play.
And I call that role in another's life.
And I will put just a little bit more of my energy into
The magician will be replaced with the hermit.
I would like to affect the star to move it before the fool.
And I think the star should be removed entirely.
I agree that the star should be moved before the fool's life.
Yes, I see the star as being something that is pulling focus. You're moving star before fool, is that
Yep.
right? Okay.
I'm spin this fool's life. I will tell its beginning.
I'll take that chunky metal.
And so the cut at the end shall be mine.
It was the first time this star had risen in the sky in their lifetime. It was an unknown light that fell through the window as birth was given to the fool. And as their mother's life cooled and ended, the child watched, eyes open, knowing, reading, hungry.
Los Angeles. The child comes into this world, born to an already dead mother, surrounded by men in masks. A fell ritual has been conducted this night, perpetrated by some of the most powerful men of industry and show business. As they raise the child in their robed arms and gloved hands, they baptize it in a language that hasn't been spoken in thousands of years. Cleaning the child perfunctorily, they walk out the mansion to where what can only be described as a chariot, a beautiful, brand new car, waits, with a driver also in a mask. They speed away through the night. And for what seems like years later, this child is nowhere to be seen. There is no record of its birth. It doesn't attend school. It grows, hidden away from the world, cared for by these powerful men. But as time goes on, rumor spreads. The world starts changing, and these men slip up, and judgment comes for them. For you see, this ritual, this fell pact, should never have been made. And the great soldiers of the world's many faiths, one after another, leave their fortress towers from all around the world to come and exact their vengeance and see that this child never reaches the prophesied time. But despite all their efforts, this child is cared for by a lone man, also long thought dead. This man is impossibly old. No one knows where he comes from. Barely any know of even of his existence. But this hermit alone teaches the child and imparts it the grand plan. But it is not yet time for the world to end. And the cosmos conspire to finally, at long last, see this undying man laid low. And with the child's protection gone, the child too must end to be born again some later era.
Indeed, the light of the purple star that had glowed and shone over the child's ritualistic creation also shone down upon its scales and its deformed body. And as it moved through its life, learning different things and being used in different ways by those titans of industry which brought it into this world, they believed this scaled creature portended the apocalypse coming. Once the hermit arrived to save this poor fool and to teach it what it meant to be of the draconic blood, this old hermit, also of the blood, imparted that wisdom. But once the hunters came and its protector was laid low, the fool also was slain by these dragon slayers. However, as its spirit rose to return to the purple star from where it originally came from, there was a feeling of a great relief and a soothing energy as this fool realized indeed the time for its dragon energy was not yet at hand, but soon.
This life is spun, measured, and cut.
With that, our story ends. We will return with a new tale to spin to dare to entertain. I was one of your players, John Holt. You can find me on Twitter at Lord Joho and on Instagram at board_ghost. Ken, where can people find you?
Board Ghosts, find me, Ken, at Burlingsbeard, BERLINGS Beard, on Twitter and my website of the same name. I am a RPG content creator and game master for hire in the New York City area. Check me out and hire me to run your games.
Joe, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Heart, HEART, Fargo, like the Coen Brothers film or the city in North Dakota. I Heart Fargo.
To learn more about the engine and players in our story, go check out boardghost.com, where we'll have links to this. We'll also put links to everyone's contact and what they're up to in the show notes. You can attempt to pierce the veil and contact us on Twitter at BoardGhostWorld. If you'd like to follow us, we are on most pod catchers. Whatever your preferred listening portal is, we should be on it. If you like the show, please tell people about it. That's the best way to get the word out. And yeah, we hope to have you listening on the next episode. We'd like to thank Pat Couples for our theme song and interlude music. You can find more about Pat at patcouples.tumblr.com, on his band's website, hotelsandhighways.com. If you're not alone in the void, share our stories. The more they are consumed, the truer they become.
Dying don't agree with me, no. Oh, you